All right, I'm going to go over a brief that I wrote some time ago, so I haven't looked at it in a while. I'm just going to kind of wing it here. I know this was, I know what this was. Is I wrote a proof in which I did an analysis of my name and the names of my family members. So I'm going to go ahead and start off. My parents: father Lowell Weigel Voiles, mother Brenda Ann Voiles. All right, family members listed. All right, I go here and explain how Holy Bibles translates to honeybees. The H remains the same. The O and the L add up 27. Break it down to its letter value by subtracting the equivalent of a alphabet, which will be 26. You get a remainder of 1 that's spelled O-N-E. Then you bring down the Y. B-I-B-L adds up to 25. Separate and translate. That's 2B and 5E. Then the ES remains the same. Holy Bibles translates to honeybees. All right. Then it shows how honeybees translates to my family's last name. The H and N add up to 22. That's V. The O-Y-E-S stays the same. The letters in B add up to 12. That's L. Rearrange those letters to get the name Voiles. So Holy Bibles translate to honeybees, honeybees to Voiles. All right. Genesis. Go through some of this. Get what? Get to what I'm looking for. Okay, here's what I was looking for. All right. So I'm going to go through breakdown analysis of each family member's name. All right, Lowell Weigel Voiles, rearrange vial, LG, OL. Letters in vial add up to 44. Break it down to its letter value. 44 minus 26, LV equals 18. 18th letters R. Letters in LG add up to 19. 19th letter is S. OL remains the same. Rearrange those letters to spell Roswell. Therefore, Lowell Weigel translates to Roswell. Take my dad's last name, Voiles, S-V-Y-E-L-O. S is 19. B and Y up to 47. The only yellow album I ever owned was Out of the Blue. On the cover was a picture of a flying saucer. Therefore, Voiles equals 1947 flying saucer. That means my father's first and middle name is Roswell. His last name is 1947 flying saucer, which means that my father's name translates to 1947 Roswell 1947 flying saucer. Lowell Weigel Voiles. All right. I got down to my mom's name. Rearrange the letters in her name two different ways: E, B, R, D, and A. And wait a minute, no. Wait a minute, I'm wrong. First name is E, B, R, D, and A. And then her second name is N, N, A. Okay. All right, the E remains the same. B and R adds up to 20, which is T. DNA is DNA. Therefore, Brenda equals ET-DNA. That can be expanded to extraterrestrial DNA. N is NNA. The N remains the same. N 14 minus A1 is 13, which is M. Therefore, M becomes NM. All right, so my mom's name, her last name, Voiles, translates to 1947 flying saucer. Her middle name translates to NM, which is the abbreviation for New Mexico. And her first name translates to extraterrestrial DNA. All right, so my parents: father, Lowell Weigels, Roswell, Brenda equals extraterrestrial DNA, and equals NM, Voiles equals 1947 flying saucer. Therefore, my parents combined equal Roswell, New Mexico, 1947, extraterrestrial DNA, flying saucer. Name of my parents, when combined, translates to extraterrestrial DNA flying saucer, Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. And it shows where what each name translates to there. Son Jeff Lynn. Okay, start with my first and middle name. Jeff translates to Tennessee, abbreviation for Tennessee, TN. I explain here that Tennessee is a song by a singer named Marcel. He's married to another country singer named Jessica Andrews. Her video includes some important images. She touches a photograph on the wall, and there's silver foil and balloon in the video. All right, so from Tennessee, we get it's a song by Marcel. Marcel's wife is Jessica Andrews. Her name can be shortened to Jessie. Her video, she touches a photograph. In her video, there's silver foil and balloons. So from Tennessee, we get Jessie Marcel. No, wait a minute. Yeah, we get Jessie Marcel photograph, silver foil, and balloon. All right, so that was where Jessie Marcel had to pose for the silver foil and balloon as a cover up for the 1947 flying saucer that he was sent to investigate. Here's the pictures of him. All right, some more stuff about that. Okay. All right, Skinny Bob aliens. I explain here how the Dixie Chicks can be used to prove Skinny Bob aliens are real. My name contains the word fly. That's the name of the Dixie Chicks album. All right, so fly equals Dixie Chicks. Our new name is Chicks. The name Chicks can be translated to skin. Therefore, Jeff Flynn equals skin. Dixie Chicks singer Natalie. I explain how the name Natalie can be translated to the name Kiss. The band Kiss is a band from New York. New York can be abbreviated as NY. That's where we get NY. So we get from Chicks, we get skin, and from Natalie, we get NY. So from Chicks, Natalie, we get skin, NY, which is skinny. So we've already got the word skinny. The album Fly contains a song called Goodbye Earl. In the video, white man Earl dies and comes back as a zombie. Therefore, he comes back as a white zombie. The lead singer, White Zombie, is Rob. Rob can be expanded to Bob or Robert. Robert can then be shortened to Bob. Therefore, Fly equals Bob. So far we got Skinny Bob. All right, so then we're going to go to Fly, Dixie Chicks singer Natalie. We see that the name Natalie can be translated to aliens. So from Jeff Lynne, we get the Chicks. Fly, which is out by the Chicks. Their name Chicks translates to skin. Their singer Natalie, her name translates to NY. Goodbye Earl, the video is a reference to the word name Bob. Natalie decodes aliens. So from the Dixie Chicks Fly album, we get Skinny Bob aliens, and the word fly can be found inside of my names, Jeff Lynne. So from my first name Jeff, we get a reference to the Jessie Marcel photograph, and from Jeff Lynne, we get a reference to the occupants of the flying saucer, Skinny Bob aliens. All right, so let's continue on. And then, of course, last name Voiles translates to 1947 flying saucer. So my name, Jeff Lynn Voiles, translates to Jessie Marcel photographed silver foil balloon, 1947 flying saucer, Skinny Bob aliens. Jessie Marcel was sent to investigate wreckage from a flying saucer 1947. The occupants of that flying saucer look like the Skinny Bob aliens in the Ivan 0135 video. As a part of a cover-up, Jessie Marcel was later ordered to pose for a photograph with silver foil and balloon material. All right. So parents and son. All right. So from the mother, first name, middle name, we get extraterrestrial DNA, NM. From the father, first name, middle name, we get Roswell. From the son, first name and middle name, we get Skinny Bob aliens. From the first name, we get Jessie Marcel photographed silver foil balloon. So from parents and son, Their last name, we get Boyles, and the Boyles decodes the 1947 flying saucer. So from parents and son, as we go down here, we can see here from the parents and son, we get Skinny Bob Aliens, Flying Saucer, Roswell, New Mexico, 1947, Jesse Marcel photographs, silver foil, and balloon. It's got a reference to the crash itself, who the occupants were, and the fact that Jesse Marcel had to pose for that photograph as part of the cover up. Death of my father. On the night that my father died, I had a movie called Ghost World rented out from a video store called The Movie Station. In the video, there's a guy handing out flyers for his band. The name of his band is Alien Autopsy. So from Jeff Flynn, we get Skinny Bob Aliens. From Boyles, we get 1947 Flying Saucer. From Ghost World, we get Alien Autopsy. And on the night that I had the video rented, my father, Lowell Vial, passed away. His first and middle name translates to Roswell. And so, on the night my father passed away, my having Ghost World rented from a video store translates to 1947 Flying Saucer, Roswell, Alien Autopsy, Skinny Bob Aliens. So that's a reference to the fact that some of the occupants of the Roswell Flying Saucer did indeed crash, and there was indeed an autopsy done on them. All right, so we get my father's name, Lowell Vigal Boyles equals Roswell 1947 Flying Saucer. Brenda Ann, that's where we get New Mexico from Ann. We get extraterrestrial DNA. That was the purpose of the alien autopsy, was to retrieve extraterrestrial DNA from one of the Skinny Bob aliens. Oh yes, my initials JLV translate to zero. This is a reference to the Japanese plane sent on a suicide mission. This is a reference to the fact that the Roswell crash was a suicide mission whose purpose was to deliver extraterrestrial DNA to mankind. All right, so my mother's name translates to God. Her name also translates, the name Brenda translates to both God and extraterrestrial DNA. That means that my mother's name Brenda translates to extraterrestrial God DNA. Her middle name translates to NM, which stands for New Mexico, and her last name Boyles translates to 1947 Flying Saucer. The way that God delivered the DNA to mankind was with a flying saucer. So let's go down. So the suicide mission was all done on purpose. Let's see. Area 51. Okay, that's where I talk about Genesis. In Adam and Eve translate to Area 51. So by using, I called my mother, Brenda Ann Boyles, Mama. That's a song by the band Genesis. In Genesis, the mama is Eve. Her husband is Adam. Adam and Eve translate to Area 51. So through the fact that I called my mom Mama, I can add Area 51 to her name. So what we get then from my mother is Brenda, extraterrestrial God DNA, and is in him, New Mexico. Boyles, 1947 Flying Saucer, and Mama is a reference to Area 51. Alright, let's see. My sister, Linda, her name translates to Sil. In the movie Species, Cecil's name is Eve, therefore this references the book Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden is a song by Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses equals Lies. Guns N' Roses guitarist equals Slash. Guns N' Roses guitarist Buckhead. Guns N' Roses singer Axl Rose. So through my sister, these members of Guns N' Roses and their album can be added to the equation. And then what I do is I show, somewhere I show how those translate. Okay, yeah, here it is. All right, Guns N' Roses X Rose. His name translates to Roswell. Guns N' Roses cover art has newspaper headlines, slash, a slash, and I explain how uh, the bucket, the KFC bucket that Buckhead used to wear when he was with GNR, how that's connected to chicken, that translates to chicks, and that brings us back to Dixie Chicks, Skinny Bob Aliens stuff. Mouse getting drawn. Pop's Pizza. Oh, this talks about a trip to Pop's Pizza I took. Like one of the things I'm wanting to do when the big breakthrough comes. So I've got a proof explaining about Elon advanced me a very large amount of money to create a bunch of industries. So one thing I want to do is create 26 new restaurant chains to replace the legacy chains that are out there. And so I went to a place called Pop's Pizza, and their pizza was very good. So that would be definitely one of the people on the list that I would see if he wanted to work with me to become partners. And we, at the end of the 3 year build that I'm going to be creating these industries in, the franchise would go national. So it would be Pop's Pizza locally during the 3 year build. And then at the end of the 3 year build, we'd go national with it. But anyway, that's a totally different type of video. So anyway, I explained how my sister is a reference to the Roswell newspaper headline. All right, recap. uh, Father's death is reference to alien autopsy. The father's first middle name is Roswell. Mother's first middle name is New Mexico extraterrestrial DNA. Son's first middle name is reference to Skinny Bob aliens. Son's first name is reference to Jesse Marcel photograph silver foil balloon. The daughter is a reference to the Roswell newspaper headlines featuring the name Slash and the smaller headline that read Tax Slash. The last name Boyles translates to 1947 Flying Saucer. So you can see through my father, my mother, my sister, myself, there are quite a few keywords associated with the Roswell crash. Man, my throat's getting dry. I'm going to try to make it through this. Having a hard time talking now. I'm getting cotton mouth, I think. All right, I talk about sending a letter to Jessica Andrews here. I think that's where I meet her. I don't know if that's just a picture of her. If I mentioned sending her a letter. All right. Let's see. Okay, here I talk about the reason for the alien autopsy that's referenced from the video I had rented was that they needed to retrieve God's extraterrestrial DNA from one of the dead skinny bobs. I don't know if I mentioned this video, but I mentioned another video that God's DNA is actually in the internal organ that powers the skinny bob. They're like biological exploration machines. So, and I don't quite understand this yet, but it's only the organ that powers the skinny bob that's actually God's extraterrestrial DNA. For some reason, the actual body itself is not God's DNA. I'm not sure why there's a difference there, but there is. Um, so anyway, during this alien autopsy, some of the extraterrestrial God DNA was taken from this internal organ. It was put inside of a vaccine vial by an agent that went rogue. He had been communicating with the Skinny Bob survivor, and I don't know if it was psionics or if he just had empathy, like you do, like what a therapist and a patient might have. I don't know, or a cult leader and a cult member. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but the agent who was doing these telepathic communications with the Skinny Bob survivor ended up taking some of the extraterrestrial God DNA that had been taken during the autopsy, took it to an orphanage. There, I'm not sure how he did this, but he made the nun at the orphanage understand exactly what the DNA was. And so at this orphanage, there was a factory where they canned tomatoes, and then there's a field where they grew the tomatoes. And they would have the orphan girls would go in the field and pick tomatoes, and then the boys would work in the factory canning the tomatoes, and they would sell the tomatoes to I guess make money to help support the orphanage. But anyway, the rogue agent, when he went there, I don't know if he's trying to go incognito or whatever, but he did dress differently than what he did normally. On this particular day, he wore a black suit, dark glasses, and a black hat, therefore making himself into the man in black. So anyway, dressed as a man in black, the rogue agent took the extraterrestrial god DNA to this orphanage. He made the nun understand what it was, and then what happened is when the nun gave vaccines, or when I don't know if she gave all of them, but when they were giving vaccines to the children, all the other children were given normal vaccines, but my future mother was given the vaccine with the extraterrestrial god DNA in it. So that explains why my mother's name translates God's extraterrestrial DNA, New Mexico, 1947 Flying Saucer. It's because the nun chose her as the vessel. And so what happened is my mother, and she didn't tell me this story until I was like in my 40s, but my mother was out with the other orphan girls picking tomatoes. And all of a sudden, one of the other orphan girls pointed and said, "Who's that man?" My mom turned and saw the man in the black suit standing beside the nun. And then the nun pointed at my mother and said something to the man in black. My mother thought she was in trouble for not working. So she got back to work picking tomatoes. Uh, but what the nun was actually doing is she was picking my mother as the one who would receive the vaccine with the alien DNA inside of it. So let's see if there's anything else I want to go over. This talks about the Madonna. I talked about a movie called Holiday of the Dead that I invested. I sent like $10 in on a crowdfund thing. So anyway, I'm just kind of scanning through the rest of it. If you want to stop this and check it out, you can. My throat's getting hoarse, so I'm gonna take a break. Mouth's getting dry too. So, all right. So that's gonna be it for this one.